Okay, so today, because I restarted on a vanilla server to test the production rates and I'm apparently never going to leave the rainforest, I'm going to share the best tips I've gotten from the comments in my recent videos with you. I'll share the super exciting vanilla start as background footage as we go. I promise that I'll leave the rainforest someday, but not until I min-max the ever-living feathers out of automation in Soulmask. First, the biggest tip I got that helps recruit the best tribesmen and ladies. I tried to find the original comment, but maybe it was a Reddit post. Either way, turns out this mask ability lets you scan targets to assess their quality. I didn't think it worked, but I was doing it wrong. You hold Q for a little bit and activate the scanner, and you can get the quality of your target. Look for red if you want the best, yellow might be good enough. But sometimes they'll have titles that will give you a hint as to what perks they might have, or specifically title-related perks. I'm pretty sure the character I have now had the Nightwalker title, and it has the Nightwalker perk, and all of these title perks come at rank 3. There's a Google Doc with a lot of perks floating around, and I'll put the link for that in the comments below. So now I'll be looking for an archery master with great perks, something to add to the list. Nelson Letters says multitask some of them. You won't always make armor, for example. Now, some of your minions won't always be working. Gardening, for me, for example, sometimes your NPCs won't need to make fertilizer and they're just waiting for plants to grow. During that time, if they're kind of good at other tasks, you can set them up to work on those. Maybe you set them up to deal with the outhouse in their off time since they need the feces for fertilizer anyway. Or maybe your craftsman is also good at leatherworking, so you can set them up to work on the butcher block when they're not making tools for your gatherers. Skull Debo 4613 says one thing you might have overlooked is the crafter's levels can be put into perception for faster crafting speed as well. Your triad shows it has 33 points available. That's like 16% faster crafting if put into perception. This was definitely something I forgot, but before you dump your points into perception, take a look at agility. It turns out this will increase your production output, so depending on who's working on which workbench, you'll want to dump points into them that do that job more effectively. Then, of course, you'll want them to be well balanced for a fight if you get raided, so be careful about how many points you put into there, without putting anything in HP or anything else. Matthias Verson 7848 says, getting the best of the best tribesmen takes ages. I would suggest focusing on armor and weaponsmiths to start. Make sure to level them up by controlling them. Doesn't take too long. You'll get new talents as you do. I have one with 120 weapon and armor smithing with tier 3 talents for both, adding 30% chance for better quality items. She never crafts anything but legendaries now. Now, I'm not sure about the leveling them up yourself part, since the tribe should get new perks at the proper levels. It's like level 20, 30, and something like that. I'm not sure about the numbers, but they should get some. But I'm not sure about whether you get them or you don't get them if you don't control them or not. But I do absolutely agree with making sure your weapon and armor smiths are the best you can find. Your weapons and armor determines your power level and whether you'll be ready to take on the more difficult content in the game. I would add on to this piece of advice that you can have your weapons and armor guys make stuff for the rest of your tribe while you're waiting. They'll be able to fight off attacks. They, as in your tribe will be able to fight off attacks, and your smiths will get leveled up at the same time. Also, you can control any of your tribe to get them geared up to take away some of the awkwardness of trading and equipping items like you're putting a diaper on a baby. Skraz says, I need to know what use production stations have. The collection yard, logging yard, and excavation pit. What do they do? I already got my 3 tribesmen gathering this. I don't get the point in these buildings and they cost me a lot of tech points. Seems like a total waste. The most obvious benefit to these things is the huge radius they have. The NPCs in charge of the station will wander the entire radius and gather the materials within. But the bigger deal is that you can control what your gatherer will collect and throw away. If your box of branches is completely full, you can simply tell your gatherer to throw those away when they collect them instead of holding onto them and waiting for space in a box somewhere nearby, eventually overloading themselves and they stop working altogether. Branches, vines, resin, and thatch are some of the main resources that I usually have my NPCs tossed, at least until it turns out that I'm going to need them more later on. This also depends on the consumption rates of your server. If your gathering stuff is set at 2.5 like my server and the consumption rate is pushed down to 0.75, you're going to be gathering way more stuff than you need, which is why I moved to a vanilla server, because I want to find the perfect balance, because I believe it exists, and that's the kind of gameplay that I like, and that's the kind of channel I'm turning into. So sub if you want to see that kind of gameplay. Right, so honestly, when I started this script, I thought I'd have more tips, but those are the best ones that I've found. So if you have Soulmask tips you want to share, throw them in the comments and I'll throw them into the next tip video. I'm not sure when that'll be, but I'll use it. But for now, I'll be grinding out on that vanilla server to find the actual best stat spreads and production boosts that'll bring your tribe to the ultimate level of automated efficiency. I'll keep you posted with any discoveries I make in the meantime, so sub if you don't want to miss those videos. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. You're welcome.